Hello, and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to reintroduce to you now. Becky Sisco is a returning guest on our show. Be sure to check out her first appearance on episode 775 of Boundless Body Radio. Becky Sisco is a full time mama and homeschooler of two, as well as an entrepreneur and business owner. She and her husband own a residential remodeling business, as well as a handmade natural skincare business. Becky is also the troop coordinator for one of the local American Heritage Girl troops in College Station, Texas, sings in the praise band at her church, and helps with cooking dinner for over 200 people at her church every Wednesday night. I still can't believe that. It's insane. However, in her past, it has been hard for her to keep up, being held back by many health issues, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, Hashimoto's, acne, gastroparesis, ADHD, and depression and anxiety. Finding no help from doctors and trying every diet and failing every time, she kept gaining weight and feeling worse, even though she was once active, leading group workouts, at her church and teaching Zumba at a local dance studio. One of her biggest goals currently is to do a mini triathlon. Her and her family decided to try a carnivore diet, which they have been on for several months, and she shares her journey on YouTube at Carnivore Family Journey. Becky Sisco, what an absolute honor it is to welcome you back to Boundless Body Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It is such an honor to have you back on the show. This is one of my most highly anticipated episodes that I've done. It was so fun to chat with you when you were very first starting on the carnivore diet, and now it's been several months later to be able to follow up with you and to see how it's gone. I'm so excited. I've been so excited to have this interview. And I realized I really blew it, and I should have warned you a few things on the first episode. And I just want to take responsibility and say, I'm very sorry. I should have warned you. I should have warned you that if your whole family does this at the same time, you're all going to need new wardrobes. I apologize.
Yeah.
That's going to be very, very expensive. I should have told you. The other thing I should have told your husband, I feel so bad about this. He's going to start feeling so much better that he's going to get home and have to do chores around the house on weekends and after work, and he's going to build stuff around the house. Tell him I'm terribly sorry. I should have warned him. Maybe would have made him rethink that. So yeah, I'll own that. Again, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got it. That's exactly what happened. So
That's amazing. You did make a 90-day video and kind of mentioned the whole clothing wardrobe thing. And by the time we had talked, you'd already been carnivore for a few weeks and had noticed that the weight loss hadn't exactly happened, but you were already getting smaller and less inflamed. And that's certainly something that we see across the board as far as that goes. So I can just
yeah.
tell you, just from looking at you and being able to see you, if you're listening and not watching, yeah, I'm looking at a completely different human that I was looking at a few months ago. So congratulations on an amazing journey so far.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. Yeah, like you said, that the weight loss hadn't really come off by what it was like week 4 or 5 that we had started talking. And but yeah, I mean the inches and the inflammation started going down right away. And then now what is it? 4 months, four and
Yeah,
a
at
half
least.
months
Yeah.
later, my husband is down 30 pounds, and I don't even know how many inches. We haven't really been measuring, but I mean, you can see he looks like he's lost way more. Same for me. I really haven't lost all that much as far as, I don't know, maybe just comparing to other people that have done it. I've only lost 26, but I mean, I feel and look like I've lost 50.
Yeah, for
It,
sure.
it's amazing. And the you mentioned before the like loose skin and stuff like that. We really don't have a whole lot of that. Like it's really cool. I mean, I've lost weight before and always had this, this saggy skin or the, just kind of crepey looking. And it's not that way. It's,
Wow.
I mean, everything looks healthy. And I've had, I don't know, my daughter and I have both have had a little acne. And I think that's just detoxing. I don't know that for sure. I'm not a doctor, but that's just from researching other people and the journeys that they've been on. That's kind of what I'm guessing it is. Um, and it comes and goes, kind of thing. But for the most part, otherwise, skin issues are wonderful.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I mean, and my son, you saw him earlier, and he's a completely different kid. I mean, just mentally, physically, completely different kid. He is just so chill, and his natural like intelligence is coming out a whole lot more, instead of him just bouncing all over the walls all the time
We just
with
had
his
a nice
ADHD.
little conversation. We just had a nice little chat. He
Yeah.
was fully present and answered my questions and was funny. And yeah, he was great.
Yeah, and he hasn't had his Adderall or not. Well, Vyvanse we're on now, or we're starting to take right before Carnivore. Vyvanse. He hasn't had that in over 2 weeks,
It's amazing.
so that's really
Wow.
cool.
So cool. Well, I can't wait to deep dive into more of the results you've gotten and ask you a bunch of
Yeah,
questions on how you're able to do it. We did cover your full journey in episode 775, so I definitely would recommend that somebody go back and check that out. But maybe like a shorter version, can you remind the people watching, the people listening, what was your kind of health story? We mentioned that you tried what you considered pretty much everything under the sun and tried to work with doctors and just were not making hardly any progress. But can you tell us about your health journey that took you to the time that you started to maybe consider thinking about like a carnivore diet?
yeah. So just I I've always been overweight, and I've always struggled with trying to stay healthy, trying to look better. Of course, through teen years, you're going to be like, oh, I got to look so much better, kind of thing. But I mean, overall, it's really about health. And through my 20s, I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Didn't really take care of it like I should have. I really didn't have the right doctors. Um, and not taking care of that over several years, I ended up with gastroparesis because of it. So basically, the lining of my intestines has lost power, basically. So it's really hard to digest certain foods. And then because of that, I threw up a lot, and because the food wouldn't digest, and so that ruined my teeth. So there's those problems, and then thyroid problems that I ended up having later on. ADHD, which I've always had. I just didn't get diagnosed until I was in my 30s. Um, all the things that you hear of people getting diagnosed of, later in life. I've got all that. So, um, and those kind of things just continue to get worse over time if it's untreated the right way. And none of the doctors could tell me why I just continued gaining weight no matter. I mean, I was doing Camp Gladiator 6 times a week and teaching Zumba, and I was extremely active, but I would continually put on probably 10 pounds a month. I mean, it was coming
Wow.
on quickly. So, but everybody could just or kept telling me, well, it's got to be what you're eating. And or here, take this medicine or take this medicine or whatever. And nothing was really working. I did keto for a little while and it helped. Um, but still there was something missing. It still wasn't really working. It had stopped the gaining of the weight, but I wasn't losing anything yet. So that's where it brought me to looking into the carnivore diet. A friend of mine had left church to go work somewhere else, and he came back, and I didn't recognize him. About a year later, he had lost over 200 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah, and it just blew my mind away. I had heard about the carnivore diet before that, but I always thought it was kind of one of those just stupid fads that everybody goes through. And I thought it sounded just stupid. So I, until I met or until I heard his story, I didn't think much of it. And the more I got to reading into it and looking into it, I figured, let's give it a shot. I mean, what can we lose? So I talked to all four of us, my husband and my two kids, and we all agreed that wouldn't hurt to try it. We're up for anything. So
Yeah.
that's where we got started.
Amazing to have that support. I did have two questions. One that kind of passed me by that I was really curious to ask you about this time, especially now that you've got experience on the carnivore diet. I was a little surprised that you tried keto before, but it was so ineffective. Like most people that I coach, if they can get to the keto step, they're not going to get all the carnivore benefits. It's like a list of like 20 or 30 things that I see improve that I expect on carnivore that don't necessarily happen on keto. But one thing that I typically see is that at least doing keto, you can lose weight. You might not get to your target weight, but you can lose weight. And that certainly didn't happen for you nearly to the degree. So in hindsight, when you look back, do you think you were actually doing the keto diet in the best way that you possibly could? Or do you see things that you're like, you know what, I was doing too many keto products or too much like keto baked foods or keto desserts or all that other stuff that seemed to creep in? Like, what are your thoughts about how you approached keto before?
Um, Gosh, it's so long ago. I really don't remember. I do know that we were doing more of a Whole30 type diet than keto because we did do potatoes. So
Okay,
that may have been, one of the things that were holding us back.
got it. Okay, yeah, and
So,
it's a
but
long
we
time
didn't do a
ago.
whole lot of snacks and stuff.
Got it. Yeah, and keto obviously over the last several years has gained a lot more popularity, and a lot more people are selling a lot of keto things that are questionable whether they're like the best for people. If you were doing it a while ago, you may have had less access to that, or yeah, maybe the potatoes were just enough to keep you out of a true like keto state. So okay, cool. No worries about that. I do wanted to ask you also. We kind of danced around this, but didn't really get a great sense of this. Your family was completely supportive. Everybody wanted to jump on and do the same thing, which is great. Can you tell us like what kinds of health issues that they were dealing with as well?
Yeah, I can kind of divulge a little bit, but my daughter is very staunch about her privacy, so
Yeah, of
I'm
course, of
not going to
course, of course. Yeah,
say a whole lot about that. Mostly just that ADHD was really really hard to control, even with medication. Then we all could stand to lose some weight. My my son wasn't all that overweight. In fact, the doctors really didn't bat an eye at him at all, but they were really starting to worry about Kenzie.
got it.
Um, so, and then she, I think had a couple of other things happening because of that weight. Um, but those things are actually very much improving now. So,
Wow. Okay, great, awesome. And then like with your husband, we mentioned such an increase in energy, and it sounded like before, to work on weekends or after work would have been kind of out of the question as far as that goes, just for like lack of energy.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and he's built us a brand new deck now. So, I mean, he would come home after work and work on that thing, and it is gorgeous, and we enjoy it so
Amazing.
much.
I should have
So,
warned him.
yeah,
I should have
I
warned
know,
him.
right?
The timing of our first episode could not have been better. We did the episode. I recorded it. It was the next weekend or the weekend after I went to a health conference. I ran into Dr. Barry. Becky, I have to tell you, like he's so kind, and I've met him a bunch of times. There's no reason for me to be nervous, but these are like, if you put me in a room with like um, Taylor Swift or Maroon 5, I wouldn't care one little bit. If you put me in the room with these guys, I get really nervous. And so I like crept up behind him and waited till he was alone and sat there and like, should I ask now? Should I ask now? And as I was holding up the phone, my hand was like shaking. I was so nervous for like a 30-second
Oh,
video. So stupid. You'll have to go back and watch the video again and see if you can notice like my hand shaking because I was so nervous. But anyway, he sent you an amazing video. He really cares about everybody, and he took the time to do that. And he said, you know what, the transition is going to be tricky. You might be craving sugar, but that will go away. He did mention like before long, the time with the family, you're going to have more energy. All these things are going to get better. Just write out the adjustment period, and you'll be so glad that you did. Can you tell us what that adjustment period was like, for you in particular, and then I guess generally for the rest of the family?
yeah. For all of us, it was basically just the same. We, the first couple of weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, was really we were really sluggish and kind of foggy headed and just not feeling good. And which I anticipated that. It was like that when we did keto. And so I kind of knew a few tips and tricks that from before that I was like, okay, we need to get ahead of this. So we started before we did keto, we started really amping up on the electrolytes and just trying to get ahead of that. And that I think that helped a lot. Um, but it was still really hard to get past just the brain fog and the fatigue. And I had a friend of mine that had started doing carnivore, a different friend from church. They had started doing carnivore just a couple months before we did. And he said to get through that, they just ate a lot of bacon. And so I was like, hey, I'm willing to give that a try. I love bacon. So, yeah, amping up the salt and the fat really, really helped in that. And
Good.
it helped us get over that hump. And then about week 3 is when things really started firing up and we felt great. Absolutely. Like we just woke up one day and felt like I could just conquer the world. Let's go, you know. So, and I didn't even need Adderall that day. It was great.
I think we recorded the first episode right after that had happened because I think you said you
Yeah.
were also doing a lot more work around the house. I should apologize to you as well. I've been painting and you could paint all day and had that
Yeah.
wonderful energy. So okay, so it's tricky because feeling like garbage is expected. It's good that you were anticipating that. You had good information. The salt makes a huge difference. Having salty things around makes a huge difference. The bacon would be awesome for that. But a lot of people will get to that stage and say, like, oh, this sucks. I don't like this. I'm going to go back to what I was doing before, where you were able to understand that this was a temporary thing. This is what you have to go through to get to the other end. Um, what kind of encouragement would you give to somebody who's in the middle of that and maybe doesn't know that they need salt or whatever, and maybe it's taking a lot longer or their symptoms way worse? What kind of encouragement would you give to somebody like that in that stage?
Well, I mean, I've been there. I've done it. You look at me. Look at my whole family. We went through the whole thing, you know, and we've come out stronger in the end. So just I mean, really just keep at it. It will get better.
Yeah.
Um and there are so many resources online, people that have gone through it. It was kind of hard for me to find those resources at first. But there really are. There's a lot of stuff out there, people that have done it, different forums and stuff on Facebook and I think Google groups or something like that, have tons of groups that have so much good information and things that people have done, like actually done themselves that worked. And it may not work for you, but at least it's given you an idea of what to try
Yeah.
and get through it because
Yeah.
I mean it's possible. It'll work.
Got it. Yeah. No, I love that. The analogy I'll steal from people, or I've stolen from somebody, and I've said several times, is like if you were taking a trip to Bali, like getting to Bali is not the fun part of going to Bali. Like there's all the lines, the layovers, people everywhere you don't necessarily want to be hanging out with, bus transfers, whatever you have to do to get there. It would be as if you got to Bangkok and you were like, you know what, this sucks. I'm going back home. It's like, but you were just like right there. You were so close.
Yeah,
Like the travel suckiness is how you know that you're getting through to the time where you're going to be in Bali and it's going to be awesome. So yeah, I definitely
I
encourage
love
people to
that.
ride it out a little bit longer. So you had some really good advice there. And yeah, so you were able to find good support. I know that you said initially, like, I'm a busy mom. I'm running these businesses. I'm doing the homeschooling. It's not that easy to find advice, especially like, for one person, let alone for an entire family. Would you say that finding support in this world has been a pretty positive experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been very blessed to have other people around me that are doing it. Um, so that has definitely been a huge help for me because I can see people face to face and I can talk to them. Not everybody's going to have that. So, but it's out there. You just have to kind of look around for it, you know, and if you don't find what you're looking for right away, you're going to learn something through it, you know, through that journey getting to what you were wanting to know. And that was my experience anyway.
Cool. No, that's great. Yeah. And you had the benefit, like you said, of people in your own church who are also doing I got to move to Texas. I have to tell you, like you've got this little carnivore group in your church. One of my buddies who lives down there was saying like, hey, we're doing some fundraising for my son's barbecue cooking team at high school. I'm like, your high school has a barbecue competition cooking team? Like, I grew up in the wrong area. That's and he moved to Texas.
Yeah, but you have hockey.
Yeah, that's
Hockey's
true. That's true.
fun.
That's true. That's true.
We don't
And
have
on that
any of
note,
that here.
the Dallas hockey team is one of the best in the league right now. So anyway,
Oh, well, see, I had no idea.
there you go. You guys have it made in Texas for sure. So with the family dynamic, were you the one? It seemed like you were the one that was kind of more taking point. You were the one that posted that initial Facebook post that I got to know you. Has the family been, are they trying to learn some of this stuff kind of on their own? Have they been interested in this? Or they're like, just give us the meat and we're just going to eat this and enjoy whatever happens?
Well, that is definitely my son. He could care less, what the data says or what this guy said or what he doesn't care, you know. Even whenever you sent me that video of Dr. Barry, with his message to us, he really didn't care. And I thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Dr. Barry. But he didn't care. Me and my daughter and my husband, we like reading up on it. We like, grabbing books and reading through them and looking for different recipes and trying different recipes. Not all of them are great, but but we really have a lot of fun together, trying to learn more about why we're doing what we're doing. And I've noticed that another friend of mine that is doing carnivore, she she's doing it for the weight loss. And she really hasn't put the thought into why this diet works. So she's missing the point. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing. She may totally get it. She just has less resources, and time to really worry about it. That could be it too. But from what I understand, if you really understand the reason behind why we're eating this way, mentally, you're going to want to stick to it a lot more because you know what all of these other things are doing to your body. So, when you think about that, what you're putting in your body and what it actually does, even though you may not have symptoms of it, to me, that just says, okay, well, I'm good not having that.
Yeah.
So, and doing whatever I got to do, wait until I get home from town, going to town, which is 30 minutes away to eat because there's nothing in town that I can eat. Fast food or whatever, except for barbecue. And who wants to eat barbecue all the time? Like
Me.
you, maybe, but I have it all the time. So I don't know. My husband can cook better than those guys anyway. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. No, it's true. Like once you start to learn how to prepare delicious food, it tastes way better than you can buy anywhere else for sure. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So that's all really helpful. I wanted to ask you what things were you doing? What was helpful for you? Like what foods were you eating? How were you preparing them? Also knowing that people in your family might have different tastes. They might have different needs on different days. Maybe different schedules. Like how were you able to manage this not only for yourself but also for the whole family?
Well, for one, I like to try to keep a bunch of different stuff in the refrigerator that's just handy so that, because I don't like to eat until later in the day. My son likes to eat as soon as his eyes open, and if I'm not hungry, I don't necessarily want to cook something. So I try to make sure that he has something he can heat up or just grab out of the refrigerator, like boiled eggs, turkey, cheese, and which there's, some issues about the whole, lunch meat thing. But I also know Dr. Barry says you do what you got to do. So that's us. We do what we got to do. But my husband will also grill a bunch of meat at the same time, and we'll divide it up and freeze it, or eat on it for the whole week, one or the other. So I mean, yeah, we try to do a lot of beef, so I always keep ground hamburger in the fridge, so anybody can do anything with it whenever they want to. We like to do those tortilla wraps. And so we just grill those up in a pan, and then use those as tacos for taco meat. So we do that a lot. Lots of cheese. My kids like to eat a lot of cheese. I try not to. But yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. For snacks, we do like to make a bunch of those little cheesecake bites, which does use monk fruit. Not carnivore, but it's close as close as we can get to it. And I find that it doesn't raise my blood sugar. So
Good.
it may raise somebody else's blood sugar, but it doesn't do mine. So I did try to keep an eye on that whenever we tried it. And we'll have maybe one, a day kind of thing, unless it's like a vacation weekend and we go a little crazy. We're human, so we do make mistakes. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, we had a really hard time getting over the fact that we're having only meat for a meal, or a combination of meats, or meat and eggs, or whatever. That just getting over that mental, I don't know, habit of having two sides with your meat. Really, that was hard for us to get over. But it didn't take long before we really started enjoying it, and our taste changed.
Isn't
So
that crazy?
yeah, so a lot of carnivores just eat straight butter right out of the refrigerator, which I thought was insane. But I do it now,
Wow.
and before that would have made me so nauseous, but I can
Wow.
do it now, and it's a great snack. We love that.
Pretty
So
tasty.
yeah.
It's pretty tasty. Yeah, I've been known to
As
do
long
that
as
myself
it's
from
the
time to
right
time.
butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has
Yeah.
to
You
be the
mentioned
right butter.
Kerrygold. Yeah. You
Yes.
mentioned Kerrygold last time. That's my favorite as well. And yeah, it does make for a great snack. And I'm curious to know how you look at not just all plant food, but vegetables in particular. Like that is one I hear very commonly in the beginning. It's like exactly what you're describing. I'm missing those sides, and that refreshing looking kind of side salad provides, the crunch, and provides a little bit of, a different flavor profile and whatever. I've always argued that people like the salad for the oil and the salt and the nuts and all the cheese and all the other stuff that comes along with the vegetables. But when you look at vegetables now, how do you think of them? Is it something that you miss, or not so much?
Some of them I miss.
Okay.
Like having the bell peppers and onions in my eggs. I used to love that. Um, but but all the other ones, I mean, I missed them for a little while, but to be completely honest, it really wasn't that big a deal. And it still isn't. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It's still isn't, but I do have a lot of people that ask, um, you know, I mean, if God created us with, flat teeth or whatever, we don't have carnivore teeth. We have flat teeth for chewing, you know, vegetation. And, that's what people ate, or what Adam and Eve ate in the Garden of Eden. They didn't eat meat. And I'm like, well, we don't know that. It just didn't say anything about that in the Bible. Are you still there? Are you still there?
Yeah, I
You kind
think
of
the
froze up
Zoom's
a little
kind of
bit.
breaking up a little bit. Oh, sorry about that. I'll edit that. Are we back on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I get that argument a lot actually from people at church. And I really don't have a good answer for that. I know that, throughout the Bible, God changes his mind a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he changes direction a lot in his rules and things like that. So I really don't have a good answer for that. All I know is that this is working, and the things that I read are proving to be true in my situation.
Yeah.
And does that mean that I will probably never have another vegetable again in my life? I don't know that. I plan on staying on carnivore, at least for the most part, because this is working. And keto before didn't. And that was really the only difference, is
Yeah.
that I just took out the vegetables.
Yeah.
So, and then not only that, but way, way, way back in history, the ground was richer. It had all the stuff in it that we would need in there. That nutrition is not there anymore. So we're just getting the pesticides and the all the stuff that, is not good for us. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. We don't need to get too much into the sticks of this, but there have been several papers written by past guests of our show as well that have gone through the anatomy of a human and have shown from our eyes, from the way our teeth are, which our teeth are not flat. Like if you close your teeth and try to slide them side to side, we have molars. We don't have flat teeth. They're not made in the same way. The way our digestive tract is, how acidic our stomach is, why we throw, but we can't hang as much as primates. Like there are so many different things that line up with carnivores, way more than they line up with herbivores. And so that has been scientifically shown. And I grew up Mormon, and there is a nutritional kind of code that we were given in scripture as well. And it says, to partake of the fruits and the vegetables and the things in the season thereof. But people think that's like, oh, I should be eating tons of fruits and vegetables and grains. But the context of it, this was given in February in Ohio. Vegetables were not a thing. Vegetables are a very recent invention. Fruit was maybe around, but you wouldn't have gotten any in February. It's saying you should eat these in the season thereof, but it's not seasonal anymore. You can eat mangoes in Toronto now where you couldn't before. So there's a lot of context as far as that kind of goes, and people forget that vegetables weren't around. Fruit was very seasonal. Maybe you had some grain around, but really through a winter you'd have to eat mostly meat anyway. So that would be what is given to you. But
yeah.
I digress on that. But I did mention teeth. How much detail would you like to go into your particular challenge as you were getting started with the carnivore diet, as far as it comes to your teeth? You did mention earlier that was something from the gastroparesis, causing that, and the vomiting and all that stuff. Can you tell us about that kind of journey and how difficult that was in your carnivore journey?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a challenge. Because my teeth had gotten so weak, and they just started crumbling. When we started carnivore, I was, using them a lot more with the meat, and it was really painful. Um, so I started looking into, well, I had been looking into things for years, trying to figure out how to fix my teeth, but it was just going to be really expensive to fix all of them. If I could have had it my way, I would have just capped them all because they were all still there, just very brittle. But that was going to cost upwards of $50,000. So, yeah, because I'm basically it's like plastic surgery in your mouth. And they would,
Got it.
replacing one is one thing, but replacing all of them would take a lot of thought and education that only specific dentists, surgical dentists would know, and that just would get really expensive. So that was not an option. So I decided to look into denture implants, and it just seemed to be a lot more affordable. So we decided to go that route, and it ended up being 2 months after we started carnivore. that I went ahead and got it done. They pulled all my teeth, and it was not as painful getting it done as I thought it would be, but the recovery was really hard. Um, and then, I mean, as far as carnivore is concerned, in that I really just I did a lot of broth for several weeks. Lots of broth, lots of like scrambled eggs and things like that. And that's basically all I ate. Eventually, I was able to kind of graduate to, different ground up meats and things like that. And I would make them into soup so that they would be easier to digest. And um, the hard part, though, was really mentally. Um, when you don't have something there that was always there, very much a organ in your body, it, and not having it anymore, it was really hard on my brain. I was my emotional state was a wreck. I was questioning whether or not this was something I should have done, and just feeling hopeless and lost. And it, it was really, really hard. Um, but, in itself, that was kind of a blessing because I was so upset that I didn't want to eat. So, it actually kind of made it easier for me to, stay on track, because I really just wanted broth and I wanted to go back to bed. So, yeah, it was
Yeah.
hard, but we made it through. And the first set of dentures that I had didn't fit my mouth, and so getting used to those was really, really hard. And now, as of last week, I have my permanent ones, which are not implanted yet, but these will be the ones that I have, and they fit so much better. The bite is perfect. I can actually eat with these in, and I'm so excited. I'm going to have steak tonight for dinner for the first time
Yes.
in months. So I'm really excited. I miss
That's
steak.
awesome. That is wonderful. And yeah, I probably wouldn't have asked you about it. I know it's like kind of a personal thing, but you have been very open about it and you've been sharing the journey and you talked about it in your 90-day video. So I appreciate you sharing that. You also shared a picture a few days later and it looked like you got in a fight with Mike Tyson. I have to tell you,
It
you
was
were
bad.
oh, I felt so terrible. And I was thinking like it's a bummer that she's doing carnivore now because I'm sure she wishes there were other soft foods that you could have been eating. But also I was thinking like, you know what? This is probably the best thing. I'll bet you her recovery is way faster. I'll bet she experiences what you just described where it's like, you know what? I don't want to eat anything. I'm just going to fast. And as humans, we can fast. If we have body fat, we can burn off body fat and get rid of it. Any of us can fast for way longer than we think we can. And your body will be perfectly healthy. It will preserve its metabolism. And again, yeah, the recovery, all of that stuff I just figured would be so much better. So it's good that you struggled through. And yeah, it might feel weird to restrict your food down by so much and then have to restrict even further by having only soft foods, but it probably only benefited you as far as health and adjustments go. So in that way, probably a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. One of the reasons that the first set of dentures didn't fit very well is because my healing process was going much, much faster. Normally they wouldn't remake the dentures until the third month, and I was ready for a new month by the end of the first month.
Wow.
So they made me wait another month just because, it would cost more to have more made later on. Um, so I waited, and it was, like I said, it was tough, but yeah, just that in of itself, the fact that I was healing faster, um, was mind blowing to me. And I mean, most people, it takes them 2 months to even get rid of the sores, from healing in your gums and things like that. Month one, it was done.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
I had nothing left. It was perfectly healed up. So
Wow. That's great to
yeah.
hear. Wow. Okay. My favorite, I've said this a lot on the show. My favorite meme is one that makes fun of carnivores, and it shows on the top part of the meme. It's like the carnivore bro who's like, "Yeah, carnivore," and then on the bottom one it says, "Oh, I had a muffin. My back hurts," and it makes fun of us as carnivores, which I think is really funny. But some people notice that when they have discretions on the carnivore diet, it seems to impact them a little bit more than usual. And you talked about your 90-day celebration with the family that you did, and well deserved. Can you tell us what it's been like to occasionally drift off of the carnivore diet?
Yeah. I'll admit
Priceless.
I'm human, and give in to my cravings sometimes. But yeah, we ended up having, I think I had a chocolate chip cookie or something. That's one of my big weaknesses, and it tasted awful to me. It was just ugh. Uh, I was so disappointed because I really wanted that satisfaction of having something just heavenly, and it was not heavenly. It was not good at all. Ended up got it from, I don't know if you've heard of Buc-ee's. It's a big thing in Texas.
Yeah.
Uh, I got it from Buc-ee's, and it's a big thing of cookies, and I ate one and threw the rest of them away, which is unheard of for me. Another thing was, and it was the same thing for everybody else. They had a couple of treats, and it just was lackluster, I guess. And then we this past weekend for Mother's Day, we went out and had a big crawfish boil, like a big cook-off competition thing, and we had some alcohol. It happened a lot faster than I was anticipating. We won't be drinking for a while.
Yeah.
It hit us really hard, and so yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing much alcohol when you're doing carnivore.
Yeah. I remember you talked about the Mexican restaurant and the margarita, and it was like, this tastes really
Oh,
good in the moment, but it will affect you differently moving forward. I've heard and experienced that myself. Like had people say, like, I'm going to this wedding, I've been great on my diet, I'm having the cake, nobody's going to stop me. And it's like, yeah, great, nobody can stop you anyway. And they come back and say, not only did I know I was going to feel terrible, and I did, but the taste of the cake was not the same as I remember. It tasted like chemicals. It wasn't even like objectively good. Like the cookies, like these aren't even good. I remember eating 5, 10 of these at a time, and they're like objectively bad. They don't taste the same.
yeah. And then, like you said, I felt it the next day, and my hands were swollen. I could tell my eyes were puffy. Like it, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, my anxiety comes back. I don't sleep very well for about two
Yep.
days. I'm just not as sharp. Yeah, yeah, it becomes less and less worth it to take those deviations from time to time. So I'm glad you shared that. Maybe now
Yeah.
is a good time to let's deep dive into the results that you've seen. You've already mentioned a few things as far as the weight loss goes. And just a comment on something you said earlier with your friend who is doing this for weight loss. I feel like I've seen it enough times that I'm okay that that's still her motivator, because eventually I think most people notice that, like, yes, I want to lose weight. That's definitely a goal of mine, but I'm noticing so many other benefits that I almost like kind of care a lot less. And so hopefully that's her story as well. But yeah, can you tell us about some of the results that you and your family have seen so far?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, both of my kids have lost about 15 pounds each, which is a lot for kids. I mean, they have a lot to lose. My son is perfect; like he's right where he needs to be, and so and he's not as strict as the rest of us are. I'm a little bit more, loose with him, but he gets why we're doing it, and um, he realizes the impact of some of those. Sorry, I had to fly. He gets the impact of what those things do to your body. So he can tell when he's eaten something and his brain goes off the reservation. Like he is not able to focus. He's not able to have that self control that he normally has now because of Carnivore. And same thing with my daughter. Like, she's probably the most strict out of all of us, and she's the one that really keeps us in line. She always reminds us, hey, Mom, let's don't do that. Why don't we just do this? And she gets so serious, and so it definitely helps.
Good for her.
She looks amazing. And she's really noticing that she's looking and feeling better. And she's never been really one of those girls to want to do a whole lot with her hair. She always wants to, wear it back in a ponytail or, things like that. And she's really taking care of herself now and making sure her hair's done. And, so yeah, that's been huge. And she's always, she's pretty good about getting straight into schoolwork. We homeschool. So getting everybody together to do school has always been a struggle. And now that's the first thing they both come in to do in the morning.
Wow.
So that's been huge. I think it's because they enjoy doing it now. It's not so much of a struggle. So there's that. And then my husband, he's lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
So he has done just amazing. He's actually, pretty strict as well. He takes his water cup every day. This morning, actually, maybe it was yesterday morning, his cup was dirty, just the water cup that he brings around with him all the time. And he couldn't find another one. So he used one of my pink ones. And
Nice.
Because that's all that was clean. And he was like, oh, well. So
Good for
he's
him.
serious. He's so serious. No, it was good. I'm really proud of him. He sticks to it pretty well. We've all gotten to a point where we're pretty tired of eggs, or we get, into those little slumps where we think we can't do one more egg. So we'll take a break from them for a while, but they're good. So it's nice to add them back in. I have lost, like I said, 26.
Amazing.
Yeah. So before, when I did keto, I lost close to 30 pounds. I was 260 pounds before I finally started making a little bit of progress. And actually, I did keto and didn't really do a whole lot of good. It wasn't until I started doing the intermittent fasting. So I would, fast from like 7 o'clock at night to about 11 o'clock the next day, and eat lunch and, a light dinner or whatever. And that really helped. And I think that goes back to that fasting that you were talking about. It's actually very healing, for your body. So I think that's what was helping. But like I said, that took 2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years for just that 30 pounds to come off.
Wow.
So, whenever we added in the carnivore, I, what was it, 3 months, and I was down another 30 pounds, or 26. And I am finally under 200 for the first time in like 6 years.
Amazing. Congratulations.
So
That's amazing.
thank you. It feels
That's
great.
amazing. That's amazing. The author Gary Taubes has written several books on low carb, and one of them is The Case for Keto. And he makes the point in The Case for Keto that like this style of a diet, a low carbohydrate style diet, is the holy grail of diets, because you're not hungry. Every other diet, you're going to be hungry all the time. And this is like effortless, easy weight loss. You don't feel hungry. Fasting is easy. Fasting is what you get to do when you don't want to take the time away to eat. Like, you're busy, go work, go do stuff. You have the energy again internally to burn. And once your body's burning it, you don't need to eat all the time. And so it's way cheaper, way more convenient, saves time, it's so much better. And then one thing I can already tell, I in the back of my head, I'm thinking of those like 20 or 30 like expected things that get better. Just from looking at you, I can see your skin is very different. You look very, very tan. How has the tolerance to the sun been? Have you noticed a big difference in being able to be out in the sun without using like your classic kind of sunscreens?
Um, yes and no. Well, okay, I'll tell you this. Several weeks ago, we went. We love to go RVing. We go in our RV almost every other weekend. And so we went to this place that has this big giant pool, and that's the whole all we did that whole day. And all of us got burned. Like we didn't use I used tallow, so I make my own tallow products, and so I used tallow, and I think it helped. Um, but just getting that base tan for the, and kind of having that first exposure to sun maybe had been a little bit rough.
Yeah.
But since then, I don't burn at all, like
Okay.
at all.
Yeah.
So I might get a little pink, in my cheeks, but other than that, my me and my kids, when we went out of town this past weekend for Mother's Day, none of us burned.
Yeah.
So
Very consistent.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, very consistent. I spent a little too much time out in the sun a few weeks ago, and I'm a little bit red from that. But generally speaking, you don't need sunscreen very often. Once you build that natural like pigmentation in your skin, it's much easier to be out there. And a lot of people report on Carnivore that they can tolerate the sun much better. And then again, other little things like I would expect maybe your hair to be growing better, or your nails to be less brittle, or people report that their body odor improves with a minimal amount of skincare products. Some people say their digestion is way better. Mental health is a big thing. Any other of those side benefits that maybe you've realized, or maybe looking back is like, oh, I completely forgot. I had my elbow would itch every other week, and now it doesn't
Yeah.
anymore. There's like all the weird stuff.
Yeah, my you mentioned hair. My hair before Carnivore was getting so thin. I guess just from all of the different health issues over the years. I mean, my hair used to be so thick you could barely get a ponytail holder around it. And over the years, it's just completely all fallen out. I was starting to get some bald area right up here, and I've had a lot of new hair growth. Um, I'm guessing from Carnivore. I went to go get my hair done a few weeks ago, and my hairdresser was commenting on how much thicker my hair was. She noticed it. So
Wow.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about
it's
that.
something I get reported all the time, or like athlete's foot just goes away again, just a bunch of weird things, and you might not even realize it until it's afterwards, and then you're like, yeah, I forgot all about that thing that I was dealing with, and now I'm not dealing with it. And I get that stuff all the time. Okay, so you've made it this far. You've gone 4.5 months. It sounds like you're not planning on stopping anytime soon. What is your plan moving forward? What is the family's plan? Is this something that everybody's still on board with, and they're going to keep going for a little while, for a long while? How do you think this is going to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, as far as we're concerned, we're good with just keeping at it. It's pretty much become a way of life now, which is what it's meant to be. So yeah, I mean, we're stuck with it. We do like to splurge every once in a while, and then we have our, epiphany, and we realize we're not going to do that again, at least for now. Um, but yeah, we're good. We enjoy the way we feel. We enjoy being able to get out and do things together without getting exhausted or feeling awful. Um, so yeah, I mean, we plan on sticking with it for forever,
Amazing.
probably.
Amazing. I love it. And last time we had you on, we briefly mentioned this, but we didn't go into much detail. And I really wanted to. Skincare products. This is something I didn't care about for a very, very long time. I started to try homemade skincare products and got hooked immediately. Then I started transitioning from my plant-based skincare products over to what you mentioned, like tallow-based. And I'm fortunate that my wife Bethany's sister, she makes some, and I basically bought her out on any kind of tallow bar that she has, and that's the only thing that I use. It's the only cream that I use is tallow based. Lip balm, aftershave, like you name it. It makes it. I was finding that the plant-based soaps and skincare, they were good, and it was a good step over the commercial stuff, but they tended to kind of dry out my skin a little bit more. And I noticed that when I use tallow, like I get out of the shower and I feel like I'm like moisturized way more from something like that. So can you tell us about your company, Be Happy, and tell us about the way you guys make your skincare products?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. You mentioned the plant-based stuff drying out your skin. I hear that from so many people. Um,
Interesting.
I do make I do make some of my skincare products with plant-based materials, but most of them also incorporate either lard or tallow. And I'm moving more toward using mostly tallow and lard, and kind of phasing out a little bit of the plant-based stuff. I have a lot of people that won't buy anything that has coconut oil in it. Um, I don't mind coconut oil. It does fine for me, but a lot of people have an aversion to it. So, yeah, but by far, I make a whipped tallow product that I use basically on everything. Um, it's amazing. It has really helped clear up a lot of that acne I was telling you about that I was starting to get. It clears all that up. It has really helped the bumps you get on the back of your arms in the summer. It helps with that. And don't get me started on putting it on after you shave your legs. it's, it's like butter. It's amazing. I love it. And then I also make one that has a blend of essential oils in it that help you to sleep. And you put it on your feet and it soaks in through your feet.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's kind of one of those old Native American kind of things, but yeah, I mean it works for me. I have absolutely no sense of smell. I have not been able to smell anything my whole life. And this stuff still works for me. So I know that it's helping in some way topically.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's wonderful. I love that stuff. But yeah, any natural skincare products. I mean, I really just started with deodorant. I make my own deodorant, and then for the business, and lip balm, because
Cool.
I tried so many of the different natural um, lip balms and deodorants over the counter. And the more you actually look at them, they're really not that natural.
Yeah.
And they don't, I mean, I don't know. They just didn't work for me. So I thought I'd just do some research and start making my own. The lip balm, I used to use Burt's Bees until they changed the formula. And then I, my lips would just get so chapped after using it.
Wow.
So, and now I find that if I use anything but my own that I make, my lips will start peeling almost
Wow.
immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me after transitioning over to any kind of natural skincare is again a step better. And the coconut oil stuff was fine for me until I started really paying attention and noticing the difference in the tallow. And it's interesting that you said a lot of people report that. And I certainly, once I got the contrast, could really feel like, wow, this is a little bit drying on my skin. So yeah, I love all of that. I am stocked to the gills with tallow products. But next time I need something, I'm coming to your website. I'm going to order from you. It sounds like you do an
Sure.
amazing job. And yeah, I love trying new products and feeling the difference. And yeah, I'm also a cyclist, so I have to shave my legs as well. And whipped tallow butter on shaved legs, you're right, is a game changer. It is a absolute game changer. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
love talking about that kind of stuff. And it's amazing that you've got so much great progress on Carnivore. I'm so glad the family is happy. Like I said, I had a wonderful conversation with your son earlier, and great to see him and catch up with him. And like, yeah, I told you, I was so much anticipating looking to chat with you. I love your passion. I love that you're trying to share this message with anybody who will hear it. I know in your last video, you reached out and said, hey, ask me questions. So I'd encourage anybody to go over to your YouTube channel. We'll tag it down below. Make sure they subscribe, leave questions, leave comments. And yeah, I wish you the best on your journey. We'll have to have you back on at some point to get another update. But yeah, for now, Becky, where can people go to find you and connect with you in your work?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you said you would link the YouTube channel,
Yep.
and then and that is Carnivore Family Journey. Yeah, on YouTube. And then my website for my skincare products is bekindhomemade.com.
I got it wrong. I said be happy. It's
That's
be
okay.
kind. Yeah, and
That's
BEE
okay.
too, by the way.
Yeah, BEE homemade.com.
Gotcha.
So
We'll link to
yeah.
that. Do you also want to talk or at least mention the business that you and your husband run?
Sure, sure. Yeah, we have a remodeling contracting business. So, and that is called Cisco Home Services. And yeah, my husband is just one of those amazing guys that just really cares about people as if they were family. And so that's kind of how he runs his business, by just loving on people and sharing, you know, sharing his faith with people, and just helping people to get where they want to be with their homes. And so he kind of just organizes the whole project and makes sure that everything is being done timely and with integrity. So yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
We're
that's
more
him.
than happy to promote that kind of work all day long. And with being friends with you, I see the before and after pictures, not only of yourself but also of the buildings that he works on. He does a tremendous job. So anyway,
Well, thank
Becky,
you.
this has been so much fun to catch up. Thank you so very much, and congratulations on your results, and best of luck in the future. Can't wait to follow up with you again at some point. But thank you so much for being on our show today. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. We'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk to you soon. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.